So, like I was saying earlier on, thank you all for joining us. This is Rhemma Consult, an immigration consultant firm. We deal with a lot of different immigration petitions, um, some of which includes EB1, EB2, EB3, family-based, diversity-based, asylum-based. Today, we are here to share one of our success stories. And part of it is also to encourage international students here to understand their opportunities that are available if they are considering permanently staying in the United States. So we have here one of our very esteemed clients, in the person, in the person of actually, he's also Emmanuel. So my name, yeah, engineer Emmanuel Gyimah. Before we begin any of these questions, please take the time to tell us a little bit about yourself.
So,
I'm Emmanuel Gyimah, originally from Ghana. So I had my bachelor's in Ghana in K University, finished in 2019. And after that, I moved to New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology for my master's in petroleum engineering. And I was there for 2 years in New Mexico. And after that, I moved to University of North Dakota, my PhD in energy engineering. And I've been here for my third year now, trying to wrap up my PhD. Is there anything else you want to know about me?
No, I think you covered it all. And as we go on, we'll get to know much about what you do as well as a researcher. I guess this might sound rhetorical, but how do you feel about the approval notice, and are you satisfied with the outcome of this process?
Yeah, I mean, very, very happy because we all wanted to, get it approved. So once you're approved, I mean, there's nothing else you are looking for. You just want to get approved and, get your status approved and move on to the next stage. So I'm so excited and very, very happy. Yeah.
Okay. But how did you learn about Rhemma Consult?
I think it was through a friend. A friend mentioned about Rhemma. So after that, I did my own research. I went on LinkedIn, found your page, and uh, kind of looked through your profile, found the success story of other people, and personally kind of dig into their profiles to kind of see how their profiles were. And after that, I was able to get in touch with you. I think I also joined one of these sections sometime, and I asked a few questions as well. And after that, I just decided to contact you and then go ahead with it.
Well, but what actually convinced you to choose Rhemma Consult and take that step with this, right?
Yeah, so I think before I contacted you, I had consulted a lawyer, and I think the amount they were going to charge were more than three times how much you were going to charge me. And aside that, I think the same name as well, Emmanuel. I was like, oh, cool. There's some connection, and also from being from Ghana, and they all kind of influenced my decision. And from the many success stories of the other guys, and from the profile that I saw, I felt like I was within that same profile to, go ahead with it.
Okay. Definitely, here at Rhemma Consult, we pride ourselves in the fact that we are giving the best price and giving the many challenges that international students may face. So we definitely know that as far as pricing is concerned, we have our clients at heart. And thank you for sharing that as well. So, what specific factors or features stood out to you while we were working?
Um, so I'll talk about the pacing and the timing, right? So when I contacted you, you gave me a time that we were gonna start and a time that we are gonna get everything done. And um, it was actually it went in line with exactly what we talked about, and also the deep review that you guys did. Because initially, when I looked at my profile and like, with what the review that you guys did, and I was very, very kind of impressed with the kind of work that you guys did. So when we put it in, I wasn't so confident, but after the whole review, I felt a bit confident, although I still wasn't so sure because unless we've been approved, like yeah, that's when you're gonna say that okay, everything is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about um, you are a little bit confident. I'm just laughing because you are one of the most pessimistic clients I've ever had to work with, and that is fine. That is fine. But there's just to give a little bit of background. There's for some reason this I don't know, but he felt like he didn't have the background, and he was like, eh, correct me if I'm wrong. When everything was done, we were still waiting for some reason, right? What was your reason? Like when everything was done, we had to submit it. What was your reason for the hesitancy? Can you share it if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I remember I was waiting for for some citations, right? And I had a paper under review that was gonna be published very, very soon. So I wanted them to go through before, but it seems it delayed, and I mean we're just behind schedule, so we had to, put it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so now for those of us who are in different fields and all of it, can you elaborate on a project that we highlighted and tell us a little bit about why that project is really important to the United States so that other people can better start thinking about what they are doing and how they can improve their portfolio if needed.
The question one more time. Is it to
Okay.
me?
Yes, to you.
Okay.
So the question is, let's highlight one of your projects that we worked on. Like, tell us a little bit about that project. You know, you've had a lot of different projects, but tell us one of that projects as your background and tell us why it was important for the United States as well.
So for example, I'm gonna talk about the geothermal project I worked with the Energy and Environment Research Center. So on that project, was basically a geothermal project here in North Dakota. And I remember from the review that you guys did, you guys were able to pull out how geothermal energy is of much importance to the government. The government plans to be energy to be carbon free by 2050 and also to have by 2035 a carbon free electricity grid. So for this to be a reality, renewables, including geothermal energy, um, has to be at the forefront. So it was a project that of much importance to the government. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And you may have spoken about this, but just for the people who are joining us, how confident were you in the likelihood of a straight approval before working with Rhemma Consult?
Before, oh no, I wasn't confident at all.
Okay.
Before I even when we did it, that was when like when we finished everything that I had some confidence, but until I was approved, it wasn't so confident.
Do you mind sharing why you weren't confident? Even after Rhemma Consult had given you that, oh, you are a viable candidate and we can work with you for that approval.
Yeah, I mean, I read online, been watching videos of how people have been denied and how the denial rate has been increasing over time. So, I mean, there were all factors that made me scared. But as I said, after the review, after everything that we did, kind of had some confidence that, oh, I think I had a good chance, but not like 100%. Still had a good chance of getting it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So I'm sure like you had that question of y- your profile, does it match? Can you mention, if you remember, how many citations you had as at the time you submitted it, and so that people can understand the nuances regarding whether or not citation is a must for NIW EB2 process.
Okay. I think some people are in the waiting room, so they want
Okay,
to.
yes, there. Thank you.
Yeah. So, for work experience, I
Mm.
barely have been working because after my bachelor's in Ghana, I just moved. I was doing my service when I got admission to New Mexico Tech. So I moved for my master's, and after my master's, I didn't work. So I just moved for my PhD. So I barely had work experience. The only experience I said I'll have is from research and teaching assistantships and also from internships here in the US. Yeah. So for citations, I think I had about 12 at that time. So I still wasn't confident enough because I knew people who had more and got it. So I felt I still had to work more, still had to get more papers published before we went ahead. Yeah.
Right. Definitely. One of the things that I want to use this opportunity to share is that citation is important for this process, but it is not the only way to make a very strong case. Every client is different. Every researcher or every individual has different fields. I always use the simple example of you can't expect an expert such as Messi to have citation because his expertise has nothing to do with his citations, right? So, in as much as there are a lot of information about you need citations to get an approval for NIW, there are other ways we can leverage the expertise of clients so that we position you as someone who is already doing things that are benefiting the United States, and therefore there are more significance into the US granting you a green card. Um, we worked for about a month. How would you describe our services?
I think someone's hand is raised. Do you want to pick it after the interview or?
Yeah, let's reserve all questions after the interview so that it doesn't disrupt the flow. So, Roxanne, we can pick it up after the interview.
Could you ask your question one more time?
Yeah. So we worked for about a month. Can you describe the overall impression of the services that we provided during the time we worked?
I would say it was very, very professional.
Okay.
Um, and also we read within like a certain time period. I would say like we were very time efficient
Okay.
because give me a time we're gonna start. We started exactly on time, a time we're gonna be done, and it was also done within that time. And looking at the deep review um, you guys did for me. You guys were able to retrieve so much information from the government that made me very, very valuable to the government. So I'd say it was very, very professional, very time efficient, and very, very good. Yeah.
Okay. Um, did you find transparency in this whole process?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Very, very transparent. Where when you guys were done, you're gonna get back to me, and then I'll review, get back to you. back and forth, and it was very, very good. I really enjoyed my time working with you guys.
Okay, definitely. Um, can you highlight any features that really stood out to you while we were collaborating? You may have mentioned it, but can you elaborate or highlight any feature that may have stood out to you during our collaboration?
Well, I'll talk about the timing
Yeah.
because when you gave me the time we're gonna start, you told me, okay, I need to go get these documents before we could start. So I started working on those documents because some take time, requesting for transcripts, commendations, a lot of other documents. It takes time for you to get everything. So I was working on them, and when time was due for us to start, we started exactly on time and went in a very professional way. And once we were done, um, when time was due, we were exactly done within that time. It was even up to me that was, trying to slow down the process a bit, but it was very, very good. Yeah.
So I still personally didn't understand why. It's like I said, I enjoyed working with you, but you were one of the most pessimistic clients that, yeah, but I'm glad everything went as we anticipated. So, I always say that in as much as we are trying to serve the diverse needs of our clients, are there any ways you think Rhemma Consult could improve our services to better meet the needs of all of you, at least in your particular case?
Well, with my case, um I can't think of anything within my case because we went in a very smooth process. And the most important thing was to get approved, and I got approved. So, yeah, yeah, I would
Mhm.
highly recommend you guys to any of my friends and no one that I'm in connection with. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Well, like you heard, Emmanuel Gyimah is a very astute researcher who has done a lot of impactful projects as far as engineering is concerned, energy engineering is concerned in the US, petroleum, as well as energy engineering. And his work has gone on to be really impactful in the United States. I quite remember one of the people that actually had used your work was actually funded by the US Department of, is it Energy? Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So his work, even though for some reason he thought he didn't have the profile, we were able to leverage all the ways that his work is making impact as much as possible, and then sell that profile. And then, as you know, it resulted in an approval. We look forward to definitely working with clients in the future to help you get to that stage, just like we did for Ojima. We're going to open up the platform for a couple of questions, and then from there we can try and wrap up after. So, is it?
So could you add a friend called One Plus? He said the username is One Plus and he's in the
Yes,
red.
I just did. Yep. Thank you. So yes, Roxanne, go for it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rhemma Consult, for having this Zoom session for Emmanuel to say his success story for us to also be encouraged to know how transparent your consult is and how you are doing to help students, especially international students, when it comes to this, because this is always our major headed to cross. So thank you very much and congratulations to Emmanuel for such a good success that you talk over there. So my name is Roxanne. I'm actually a PhD student in University of North Dakota. I'm equally from Ghana, did my first degree in Ghana. I did my second degree in UK, Aberdeen. Then I'm now here doing my PhD in petroleum engineering. And my research is actually also this energy transition, where I'm researching in hydrogen storage and CO2 storage. So I have a couple of publications. So I have a 4 publication and 6 citation. So I want to know whether with this profile I might actually also fit to apply because I'm that kind of the same thing that Emmanuel is a little bit being pessimistic, not optimistic about his profile. It's equally the same thing that I'm also suffering here. I don't know whether I should go for it now or I should build my profile more before I'll come for it. So I don't know. How many publication or citation will somebody have before he can approach a Rhemma Consult for to start the process?
I wish I had an answer for this question because this question keeps coming up. Like, how many citations do I need? How many publications? Well, I can tell you in confidence that we've had clients that have no citation whatsoever, no publication whatsoever. They've still had approval. So I wish I can answer your question in all honesty. Like, the publication is not a requirement for the NIW. The citation is not a requirement for the NIW. It depends on your portfolio in general. So even to answer your question on whether you should or should not, sincerely, I would have to see a very detailed CV of yours, all the little things you may have done, right? Some of your awards you may have chalked, some of your memberships in certain professional association, some of your volunteering things you've done. So it's very difficult on top of my mind to say yes or no. But for me, I would say the very first step would be for me to understand you as a person. And when I say you as a person and your portfolio, what I mean is getting to see your CV, understand all that you've done, as little as you may think, right? Like, for example, I want to highlight one thing that Gyimah didn't mention. He had worked as an intern for a certain company in Minnesota. Is that
Um,
correct?
Terraco
Yeah,
in
Oracle. Yeah. And one of the things about NIW is also leveraging how other companies or other institutions in the United States have recognized your achievement or your expertise. So Oracle offering Emmanuel an offer as an intern has shown that a company recognizes objectively the expertise of Emmanuel. And not only that, this may even sound much funnier. Like, if he got admission into New Mexico Tech, he got admission into University of North Dakota. These are all US institutions that recognized his ability, because most of these admission processes are very competitive. Because if it were not the case, all you would have about 100 co-workers or colleagues in your programs, but that is not the case. So it's very difficult for me on the fly to tell you yes or no. But if you want to reach out to us, we will be more than happy to understand you as a person and all your expertise. There was one client that had nothing, but essentially when she was coming into the United States for masters, she had a lot of admissions, and that was mostly what we leveraged on CA. So many companies and institutions in the United States have recognized her expertise, and she promises to keep doing stuff with regards to her expertise. And we had a very detailed future plan. And that was all because she didn't have any of those traditional research papers and traditional citation. It just depends on each and everyone. So hopefully, this might seem open, but it gives you an idea of like your next steps. So I would say let's let's get in touch and let's determine the next step. I'm going to put in our email as our first point of contact, but on the first glance, some of the things you said sound interesting, Roxanne, but I would like to get to know when I see your portfolio.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I believe someone else, is it Martin?
No, it's Matt.
Mark. Okay, Mark. Okay, Mark.
Okay. I joined a little bit late. I wanted to know the cost aspect of the whole process. And then I have about 3 questions. The cost for the whole process, that is separately for your services and then for an estimation for the actual process. And also what happens when we are focusing on the positives, but as it's also real that an application may be placed and the person may not be approved. So what happens to the cost after that? And then I also heard that after the NIW, it's not really a guarantee to the green card. So what is the path after the approval to green card? If I can have answers for this. Thank you.
Okay, so I would answer the ones that I feel comfortable answering. And that would be we first of all, we pride ourselves in the fact that we haven't had any denial. The second thing is that in as much as we don't anticipate denial, in the event of a denial, we would have unlimited filing for you, which means that we keep filing for you. But mostly we try to position clients in a way that we put you up for success, else we would make sure that you are up to that point where we feel confident that even the most strict officer would find your case convincing. Now, the other one that I would answer would be, I think you asked the question about after the approval, it is not guaranteed.
Yeah, that is just what I heard too. Like after you get approval for NIW, you would have to be in a pool, something, wait for some number of years and blah blah blah. So I don't know about that. So can you tell?
Well, what I would say is that yes, after the first stage, you would have to adjust your status from F1 to a green card, or not just F1, because some of our clients are on H1. Some of our clients have been on L1. So whatever non-immigrant visa category you are on, you would have to adjust it from that category to a green card status. After the approval of the first stage, which is the NIW EB1, or if it's a PEM labor certification, because we deal with a lot of different companies as well. The second stage is pretty much almost guaranteed under certain conditions, right? So, for example, if we pick Emmanuel Gyimah like this, he said he's going to be a researcher with regards to energy, right? So during the adjustment of status, we just need to show that he's still doing the things that he promised he's going to do. If that checks, that's good. The second thing that USCI is going to check is to make sure that you don't have a felony record, something that makes you a threat to the United States, right? Which mostly involves have you committed a murder, those kind of heinous crimes, like like parking tickets and all those are anything. But beyond that, if you check in terms of like your criminal background, if it's a check, and if you are still doing the things you promised in the first stage, there is no issue with USCI's granting you the green card during the second stage. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Is it Felix? Felix, did you have any question? Okay. Let me see the chat to make sure I haven't missed any question from the chat. Okay, what are the minimum requirements as per your experience? Well, it depends, right? So usually the minimum requirement entails it really depends
Sorry,
on
I
which
had an
one.
issue, so when you finish, you can call me again.
That's fine. So I'm trying to answer the question from Jawad Ali Khan. Yeah, so it depends on the category we are going, right? That's why I'm hesitant in stating out what the minimum requirement is, right? But if let's say we pick EB1A, for example, the requirement is to show that of 10 things, we should have to show 3 things and then argue that you fall within the top 10% of experts in your field. That is EB1. If we pick EB2, there are a lot of different categories, right? So what Emmanuel did was the NIW. NIW, we have to show either an advanced graduate degree has been earned or you've had 5 years of work experience, that's fine, the bachelor's degree, and then show that your expertise is of national importance, and then you are well positioned to advance that expertise. So hopefully that kind of answers your question on what the minimum requirement is, given that the categories of these visas are different for each of them. So it depends on which one. So, Jawad, if that answers your question, then let me know. The other one, I think, is it Felix? Yeah, Felix, what was the question that you had?
Yes, thank you. I heard that you can apply with your spouse, like for these kind of applications. So I wanted to ask if it's possible to apply for your spouse who is not currently in the US. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, that is actually correct. Yeah, you can not only for your spouse, if you're also having dependent like your children, you can also apply for them. Yeah, so that is correct. You can apply for. The only thing is that USCIS would have to, you would have to show proof that you're actually married to this person or the person is your child, right? Which, if that's the case, usually a birth certificate or a marriage certificate or some other forms to show that indeed you are married to this person or indeed this person is my child. That's good enough. But yes, you can add your spouse, your children. There is a limitation of the children that if the child is below 21, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, I think I need to clarify. I mean, applying the same time you are applying for the NIW or whichever category, or at that point you should already have applied for it and gotten approval before you can apply for somebody like your spouse.
Well, in the first application, there are going to be questions on whether or not you have a spouse or not. So if let's say you were married at that time, you would indicate that yes, you have a wife, you have a spouse, and if um, you have kids similarly. In the second stage, we're also going to do a similar application, this time separately for your wife or for the kids or the spouse. With regards to, even if let's say you got married after the first stage, you can always add them later in life. So yes, that's for us. Those the privileges goes for both yourself and then your wife if you have your spouse if you are married, and then your kids if you have them as well. So there is no limitation. The only thing is the kids. If they're above 21, then it's a no-no. But yeah, other than that, you can add your
Yeah,
family.
so I was confused because you see, when you're applying, you don't know whether you are getting it or not. So adding your spouse who is not living in the country at the moment, I was a little confused about the prospect of that.
Oh, okay. Well, the first stage in itself, there's nothing incriminating about it. So, I mean, if you have a spouse, not just for NIW or anything like for any other application, if you are filling any other form in life and they ask you, are you married? And you are married, I believe you should declare that. So it's essentially the same thing, whether or not it
No,
goes through.
I meant applying for your spouse as well, for her to also get an NIW.
Oh, I mean, you have to decide whether you are going to be the principal applicant or your wife is going to be the principal applicant. If the petition is about you, then it's you, but you have to declare in the application that yes, you are married and declare the names of your spouse or your kids if applicable. But
Okay,
there won't
so
be a separate application for your spouse, unless of course, like you want to apply for your spouse separately.
Oh, okay. So when it comes to you and your spouse and whoever you add, I guess.
I
I
think
have another question if there's nobody else
I think
asking.
Robson has a second question. I don't know.
Well, Roxanne, what is your question?
Yeah. So thank you very much for giving me another opportunity. Because of this question that comes about Phyllis asked about spouse, you see, I want to know whether can't uh, your spouse or you yourself have two different application going simultaneously, file
Yeah,
for
yeah,
each.
yeah. We've actually done that for the couple who came in, even though we told the couple that, see, I was like only the husband could do it, but for some reason they both wanted to do it. That's fine, we did it. And we've also had a client that we've done both EB1 and EB2 for. So yes, there's nothing wrong. If your client is also, sorry, if your spouse is also like meets the minimum requirements, both of you can do it separately, like for yourself. And of course, if that is the case, when we are applying for yourself, we are going to indicate the name of your spouse. Likewise, your spouse is also going to indicate your name as a spouse, but there will be two different applications, and USCIS doesn't have any problem on it. Then forward on, you can decide which one you want to move, whether, and in that particular case, I'm talking about both of them had approval, but they ended up with that of I think the guy's own. But yeah, there is nothing wrong if both of you meet the requirements, you can do it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my time and I want to be mindful of time as well. So what I'm going to do is, I see Martin, is your question already answered?
No.
Okay,
Uh,
so yeah.
yeah. So my question is, it seems almost per what I've heard, most people who are approved of the NIW are doing their PhD and they use their masters to do it. But if someone who has no intention of doing a PhD and you graduate with your master's degree in the United States of America, and let's say you don't have any publication, publication or citation, do you think this person has a higher chance or this person can apply for the NIW?
Okay. So again, I'll debunk what we've heard. That may be the case for most people, but not all our clients, because if you go back to, I believe, our our Rhemma website, you'd notice that we've had a couple of people share their stories and they are not in a PhD program, or they don't have a PhD either, right? Like one that I can think of on top of my head will probably be Frank or Kofi and Kofi. So yes, it's all about meeting the requirements. And in the next success story we're going to share, is going to be a client that doesn't have a PhD and just graduated from a master's degree and is actually working and got an approval. So yeah, there is no such thing that you need to be in a PhD program before you get it. It just depends on, do you meet the requirements, and if the answer is yes, then you meet it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And yes, to your question, Felix. And yep. So I believe all the as the approval of the NIW in itself merit dependency or without planning to be on a valid visa. You would have to be on a valid visa throughout the process. Yeah, you have to be on a valid visa throughout the process of the NIW and before the adjustment is put in as well. Tima, did you just ask this question or are you asking for someone? I'm
Yeah, I'm
confused.
asking for a friend.
Well, my master's program is not research-based, so I would like to know if you offer support for candidates without prior research in collaborating to develop and publish research papers. Additionally, do you assist candidates in formulating proposed research endeavors? Yeah, so the answers to both of them is yes. We do have a lot of team and groups for both people with research and both people without research. And so, yeah, and even depending on your field of endeavor, it may be different for how we set it up. What if you change your proposed endeavor after approval? Will that be a problem when applying for the second stage? Well, legally, it could be a problem. Yeah. So after the first stage, and if you are doing the second stage and you change your endeavor, legally, it could be a problem because sometimes the USCIS officer would call you in for an interview, not always, sometimes. And when the interview, when you're going for those interviews, you would have to show proof that you are still doing what you promised you want to do. So right now, Emmanuel has promised to the United States government that he's going to be doing things involving energy engineering. So he has to keep doing it because that is what he promised, and that is why the United States is giving him that permanent residency. So yes, you'd have to stick to what you are doing or do something closely related, right? So let's say um, maybe you are a geothermal engineer and then you are doing something in regards to maybe environmental engineer. It's kind of almost the same thing in the engineering field. So if it is closely related, that is fine. But let's say you promise to do things regarding French, and then all of a sudden you are doing things regarding pass. Like now you're saying two different things. And during the second stage, that could be a problem because regardless of an interview or not, would have to show a proof that you are still doing something that is in line with what you promised in the first stage. So you want to keep doing what you are doing because that is why the United States is giving you that visa. Else it's more or less like fraud. Like you promise something, now for some reason you are not doing it. And we don't want to portray that um, as well.
I think there's someone in the waiting room.
You know the person's name?
Ashraf?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I was reading something else. Yeah, that's strange. That's yeah. Yeah, so if you want to reach, if you want to reach out to us, the best way to reach out is via email. You can also check our website and then go through that as well. Let me put that out here so that if you want to do that, you can easily put our website there. You can also check some of our testimonials as well. And feel free to share it if you want to. Whenever I hear a question of what is it, what time is it advisable to start, I always say that now, because regardless of whether you meet the requirements, you want to know um, what the requirements are, how you can strategically get to that requirement and start preparing your portfolio. So if ever I get the question, when is it the best time to start? I would say now. Like whether or not you meet the requirements, that will be the first the time to arm yourself with, okay, how do I meet the requirements? And we do that with a lot of our clients. We put them on a 6 month or a 1 year schedule where we help them. That is specifically for those that they need to work on their clients or they on their portfolio or they haven't met the requirement yet. So yeah, like for me, I would say the best time to start is now because you want to know all of those information. I also have a question that could someone who is offering a master's in public health, be a candidate. Yes, this whole process is not even for like any specific field of endeavor. Like regardless of your field of endeavor, you can apply if you meet the requirement, right? So more specifically, I think with regards to public health, we've even had a lot of like success. I think one of our success has been, I think, Palabi Deb. She comes from India. She's specifically had to do with public health as well. And I think, yeah, Palabi, yeah, was strictly public health. And then we have a couple of clients who didn't do interviews, but also, so yeah, public health is even much, I don't want to say easier, but we know the essence of public health. It's really important to the United States. Not to say that some fields are not important, but some fields are naturally important, like on its own, right? Like if for some reason hospitals were shut down, we know we won't survive as a country. Like if for some reason food is shut down, we know we are going to starve and die. It's just a matter of days. If for some reasons cars are not able to move, we know that we can't go to work or get to our workplace. So almost everything is important, but just saying public health is highly desirable. Again, because this is recorded, I would say that all fields are qualified. We've done it for French clients and all of those things, Spanish clients, people whose expertise are in Spanish, French, and they all got it. So it is not specific to any type of endeavor. It's about the requirements. If you meet the requirements, then you can go for it. I believe I have answered. Yeah, I think, yeah, so for this question, I believe Matt, I won't be able to answer this question here because of time. It's more detailed, but definitely you can reach out to us and then we can discuss that in much detailed function. And before it's almost to the clock, to the hour. One thing that I say is to my clients that I always interview, what will be okay, I'm going to try and answer this last question and then wrap it up. Is it possible for someone in a PhD program without a master's in the US apply? Well, you don't need a master's in the US only to apply. Your master's can come from any part of the world. And also, if you had 5 years progressive experience with a bachelor's degree, you don't even actually need a master's. But your master's can come from anywhere. As far as it's a master's, it's a master's. So it doesn't have to be a master's in the United States. Although Gyimah's master's was in the United States, we've had clients whose masters had never even stepped in the United States before. So that should tell you they don't have any degree from the United States. It's about the requirement. That being said, Gyimah, I always say that in as much as we are sharing a success story, what would be the advice that you would consider giving to an international student that just arrived in the United States and has intentions to stay on a long-term basis?
I would say that since they came here for a program, just do your best. If it's teaching and research, just do your best, establish good relationships with your advisors since you're gonna need their recommendations in the future. Have a good GPA, try and go for conferences as much because I remember conferences really helped me. Attend much conferences as you can, try and establish collaborations with other people. And then if you have the chance to write papers, just write as much as you can. Also, yeah, just do your best and think everything is gonna fall in place. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I always say this because um, personally, I don't think I was privy to this information when I was student. And if I had to go back in time, I wish somebody had just said what he just said earlier when I go to the United States. So um, make connections, volunteer for projects, volunteer for things, the little things. We had a clients where we even leverage the clients volunteering for community engagement where they were like flagged in the community and all of those things we leverage it to show the person's exceptionality. So like nothing is small. Just get yourself involved in things that are helpful and meaningful to what you are studying. And then when the time is right, this process would usually go very well. That being said, it's been nice to have you all here. Again, Rhemma Consult is an immigration consulting firm that we offer comprehensive immigration services tailored to meet the diverse needs of our clients worldwide because our clients have come from so many places, including specialized assistance for individuals to self-petition for employment, whether you are an employer or you are an individual, and we are ready to work with you for the different categories of green card. It's been nice having you all, and then hopefully we get to see or talk to you in one way or the other.
Thank you so much.
And then bye for now.
All right. Thank you very much.